What's up, Hope Valley Church? I hope you're doing well today. We are honored that you are spending your Sunday morning with us. Real quick, I need you guys to do me a favor. Please click the share button that is on your screen. This will allow others to view this live stream as well as hear an encouraging message from our pastor. You never know whose life could be impacted just by you sharing this experience. If this is your first time with us today, please let us know. You can text Team Hope to 94,000. We would love to get you more information about Hope Valley. We are in week 3 of our series, Don't Quit in the Dip. This series is based off the book written by Pastor Sean Nepstad. We gave away a couple of these books last week and plan to do it again this week, so keep a lookout on our social media accounts on how to win one. All right, before we get into the message, let's take some time to worship. Let's turn down the distractions and turn up the volume, and let's lean in and worship together.
We've seen what you can do, oh God of wonders. Your power has no end. The things you've done before, in greater measure, you will do again. 'Cause there's no prison wall you can't break through, no mountain you can't move. All things are possible. There's no broken body you can't raise, no soul that you can't save. Oh, things are possible. The darkest night, you can light it up. You can light it up. Oh, God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome. You've already won. Oh, God of revival, you rose in victory, and now you're seated forever on your throne. So why should my heart fear what you defeated? I will trust in you alone. 'Cause there's no prison wall you can't break through, no mountain you can't move. All things are possible. There's no broken body you can't raise, no soul you can't save. All things are possible. The darkest night, you can light it up. You can light it up. Oh, God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome. You've already won. Oh, God of revival, the God of revival. Oh, you're the God of revival. Come on, let's sing. Come awaken your people. Awaken your people. Come awaken your city. Oh, God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh, God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Come awaken your people. Come awaken your city. Oh, God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh, God of revival, pour awaken your city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hope Valley Church. We're glad that you're here. And hey, we're in week 3 of this series, Don't Quit in the Dip. And it has been a good one. Hey, if you hadn't got this book yet, this book is a good one. I enjoy it. It's by Pastor Sean Napstead. And the whole idea is, listen, don't stop in the moment that you feel like stopping, because your miracle is on the way. So many times in our lives, you know, when things get tough, when we get stressed out, like we want to turn and run. We feel kind of like a hamster on a wheel, and we don't want to keep going. We want to stop what we're doing and get out. Come on, when things get hard. And so this book, what I love about it is, man, it just kind of opens up some ideas for you, thinking through, you know, your life, your journey. And like any book, you know, it's not set in stone. This is not the Word of God. This is just something to help you kind of apply to your life, to help you in life. Come on, how many of you know that the Word of God is the very thing that you should be applying to your life over books like these? Even though these are amazing, and I would recommend reading some of these books, but, you know, make sure that you are diving into the Word every single day, and that'll help change your life. But hey, this helps you stay focused on God's promises for you, and I love this. And we're going to be talking out of one of the chapters of this book, and Pastor Sean talks about in it this whole idea of wanting a pet in one of the chapters. And I love this because I was the same way. When I was younger, I'd always tell my parents, like, hey, can we get this dog? Can we get this cat? Can we get this bird? Can we? And the answer was always no. We either already had an animal, or my parents didn't want to get an animal, and it was kind of the same thing for him. And so he tells this story about asking his dad consistently, like, hey, Dad, please, and can we please just get a dog? Can we please just get a cat? You know, and his dad settled on a yes. But the yes was something pretty wild that we probably all grew up with somewhere, knew someone that had one, especially if you lived through the 80s and 90s. This was like the pet to have. And, you know, he talks about in his book, like, he's so persistent at asking his dad about having an animal that his dad finally gave into letting him have a hamster. Come on, somebody. You know, like these little cute guys. Right? They look so cute, don't they? Until you pick one up and it bites your finger and you want to throw it through the window. Like, that's it. Like, they look so cute. But back in the day, right, you would get this cage. Like, I had one. Like, it was really chunky. It didn't want to move a whole lot. But like, I had one growing up. But he talks in this book like, this is the thing that my dad let me have, and like, he went all out. Like, he bought the cage. Come on, you remember? Like, you would buy all the little pieces that would like flow through. They'd be different colors, and you can go from cage to cage. You even had that little round ball, right? Like, you remember that little round ball you can put them in and put them on the floor, and they would just kind of roll around throughout the day. Like, who knows if they're suffocating in there? That's, I mean, you're entrapped in this little ball. But it seemed like they loved it, like they needed the exercise, right? And so he talks about in there, he said one time, like his dad came in and he came in the door and didn't see the little hamster in a ball, which he named Brown and White. He called him B-Dub. I like that. And his dad came in, opened the door, and not even looking, accidentally kicks that little ball like an Olympic kick, and that thing went against the wall and smashes into the wall. And it was like the hamster loved it. He talks about it. And so in the book, he talks about, he said, I want to give you a few facts about hamsters. And he lists like 8 things. I'm going to spare you here. But the last one I thought was pretty interesting. I'm going to read it out of here because I think it applies to our life. And I'm going to kind of hang on this for a minute. It said on the 8th one, he gives eight little things. And the 8th one says, hey, they run and they run a lot. And this is probably what they are known best for. And he says this fact, it says, in the wild, they can run 6 to 13 miles a night. We're talking about this little guy, 6 to 13 miles a night. So they're pretty serious about their cardio, right? Like that's like their life. And so he has this hamster. He talks about it throughout there. It's a really great little story to kind of segue into what we're going to talk about or what we're going to talk about today. But you know as well as I do, you cannot buy a hamster cage without what? Yeah, that's right. A hamster wheel, right? Come on, look at this little guy. Look at that little rat thing. Look at his little nose and his little ears. Like you saw, that looks like a mouse, actually. That don't look like a hamster. That's kind of mousy looking. But you couldn't buy, and to this day, you cannot buy a hamster without a hamster wheel. Like that's the thing. They love to run so much that you got to give them one of these little hamster wheels so they can, like take off, run all they can, get all the energy out, because they are animals that need to get their energy out. And so I want you to imagine just for a moment, like you put in a full day's worth of work, right? And you're running 16 to 13 miles in your cage, but you're never getting anywhere. Come on. You never get anywhere. You start and you stop, you start and you stop, you start and you stop in the same exact place every single time, every single day. So you're exhausted, right? You're exhausted. You've done the work, but you're not productive. Do you ever feel like this guy? Like you feel like you are spinning your wheels, per se. You're on the hamster wheel. And you are doing life. You're busy. You're taking your kids this place. You are making sure your job is okay. You're handling your finances. You are handling your marriage. You're handling your job, your life. But yet you're so busy, right? Like you're running, and life is going 1,000 miles an hour, but there's no productivity. You feel like you're stuck. You feel like you're in the same place. You're exhausted. You're not feeling productive. Like, have you ever felt like that before? And honestly, if we're real, it feels like life is just continuing to go in circles. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like I keep dealing with this same thing, or man, one day I'm going to get a different job. Like I just feel like I can't stop going to this one place in my mind because I'm so frustrated of how it's working out for me. And you ever been there? Even with your kids, it's like I keep telling them the same thing, like, Lord, help me, before like I need help because I can't tell my kid one more thing, the same thing over and over and over. I feel like I'm going in circles. You ever felt like you were going in circles in your own life? And and the thing is that you know that you were created to grow. You were created to possess. Like you were created to make a difference, and yet you've settled for comfortable, right? We've settled for this wheel in our life because it's a familiar pattern. It's honestly what it is. It's a boring rut for you, and it's the dip. Honestly, it's the dip that Sean talks about in this book. It's the moments where you feel like, I just want to give up because I am spinning my wheels and I don't know how to get through life. And, I say this all the time, but I'm a product of a praying mom, a mom that felt like she was spinning her wheels with her son, a mom that felt like she was frustrated at sometimes, like, when is he ever going to change in life? Like, I wasn't always saved. I wasn't always a pastor. Like I wasn't a good kid all the time, and yet she continued and continued. How easy would it have been for her to give up with me? But she kept pushing forward, and same with my father. He kept pushing forward, and man, just to see my life come to a better place, right? But many times they were exhausted, like felt like they weren't productive, right? And man, it's so easy to kind of fall into this dip, in this boring rut, and we tell ourselves a lot of times, well, you know what? At least we're faithful. At least I'm faithful to the circle. At least I'm faithful to running around. At least I'm faithful to the pattern, right? At least I'm faithful. But the reality is that you're not. Faithfulness is not faithfulness unless fruitfulness is involved. I need you to hear that. Faithfulness is not faithfulness unless fruitfulness is involved. And so if there's not fruit coming from your life in that specific area, then it's not faithfulness. So it's easy for us to say, well, at least I'm doing the best that I can. Well, those are great words to say, but if fruit is coming from those words. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? And so, like, what I want to try to get you to picture is, like, don't live life consistently complaining or frustrated about the place you're in. Because if you do that, you become part of the wheel. Does that make sense? And I know it's easy to do, and it's easier said than done, but if you can get your mindset outside of the wheel and know that you might feel like you're spinning wheels, that you feel like you're not productive, you feel like you're not doing the best job, but if you stay consistent in trusting in the Lord, leaning in the Lord, waking up and reading the Word instead of waking up and looking at social media, what the world has to say, then that's when your life begins to change, right? And so that's what I want you to see today, that faithfulness is not faithfulness unless fruitfulness is involved. Okay, so now with that being said, I do want to say that not all routine is bad. All right? Not all routine is bad. I think it's good. Routines can be beneficial, right? But ruts are not, right? So let me just share with you real quick what a rut is. A rut prevents us from moving forward, okay? It's the very thing that we struggle with. This is the thing, the rut is the thing that prevents us from moving forward. It's not the routine. It's the place where you say, like, I wish I had something different. I wish I could do something different. If I had enough money, I could. If my kids would act better, they would. You know, like, if you're not careful, you'll put yourself in a rut, right? When you need to be maybe in a routine, right? And so a routine is this. A routine helps us be our best, right? You know what? When you wake up and you brush your teeth, like, praise the Lord, you brushed your teeth before you walked out the house. A routine of brushing your teeth is a good thing. It makes your teeth in its optimal working power, right? Like, you brush those things because ain't nobody want to smell your breath in the morning time. That's a good routine. Like a healthy routine is a good routine, right? And so routines are good. It reminds me, honestly, this whole thing reminds me of the story of Moses. And, you know, the book of Numbers describes the entire 40-year rut that the Israelites experienced in the wilderness. And so I want to talk today for just a moment about being stuck in the rut. And I'm going to use Moses' story, and I'm going to, listen, we're going to compile the whole story into just a couple of verses, but, you know, you really need to, when you understand what God did in 40 years in the desert with Moses, you need to read through many chapters to understand many books to understand the full the aspect of what Moses did and why it happened. But, you know, Numbers describes that whole year of the 40-year rut that the Israelites experienced. So it talks about the wilderness, right, in Numbers, in Exodus, and all of those. You know, Moses, what happened was, let me just recap. This might help you some if you don't know the story or if you're a little vague about it. Moses was an incredible man, right? And he was a Jew from birth. He had to be given away so he wasn't killed as a baby. And, he ends up becoming a huge part of Egypt at that point because the king's wife got him and built him up. And he didn't know he was a Jew until he was older. Anyways, he felt convicted, right? He felt convicted and wanted to not live the life that he thought he was supposed to live, but he wanted to live the life that God wanted him to live, and he wanted to rescue the Jews that were in Egypt. The whole "let my people go." So the whole story goes is he builds up enough courage to talk to the king, and it was a battle back and forth. There was a lot of plagues. There was a lot of things going on. You can read this all through the chapters. And eventually, the king's like, yeah, we'll let them go because all the plagues were pretty rough and God was speaking. And then, thousands, if not close to 1 million people left Egypt onto the promised land that was supposed to take 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a month at the longest. But instead, it took 40 years, right? So it took 40 years. And so they wandered in the wilderness, right? So here's the question, what was the wilderness? Here's my answer. It was a big old hamster wheel. Think about it for a moment. Moses was supposed to go directly to one spot and got caught up. The people were frustrated. The people didn't like being out in the desert. They would rather go back to the slavery than to be free walking around the desert not knowing where they're going. The story is really mind-blowing because over the 40 years, and I couldn't imagine. Just place yourself there for a moment. Like if you were to go back in time and you knew that, hey, the promised land is not that far away, but somehow we're 40 years into this event. We see the picture because we read it now and the outcomes and how few of them made it to the promised land, but could you imagine 40 years? Like you could have been 5 when you were released, and now you're 45 years old. Like my goodness, this is out of control. We need to be somewhere. I would be frustrated. I would probably not believe in the plan anymore. But the wilderness is like a big old hamster wheel for these guys. And at the end of the day, this is the thing, that the Israelites were content just looking at the promise, but really weren't willing to get off the hamster wheel per se. They knew about the promised land, but they loved where they were, and it was a vicious cycle that they were working. Like, I need food. We would set up camp, tear down camp, and it was just like they were building their community and sometimes worshiping their own gods, and it was crazy, and it was this big old hamster wheel they were walking through. But here's what I've learned is that movement is not the same as progress. Does that make sense? So just because you're moving doesn't mean you're making progress. It's busy work. And I wonder how many of you out there are just doing busy work. Just claiming that you're doing great things, but inside you're like, if something don't change, I don't know what I'm going to do. The enemy likes to distract us with busy work. And busy work's one of those things that, man, if you ain't careful, it will stop your progress in its tracks and you won't even know it because you're so inundated with your calendar or your process. And I get it. Listen, all of us live busy lives and to some degree, and I've got 3 kids and sports and school and all the things that have to happen. If I'm not regimented in my calendar, right? It'll get wild real quick in a Wilder household. But I have to really determine am I being distracted by busy work, or am I really being progressive, just working through it, right? Because what happens is the busy work puts us in the rut, and that's not where we want to be, The hamster wheel is like this big distraction, right? And it makes you think that you're going places when you're really just maintaining. You're really not going anywhere. And honestly, that type of distracting is counterfeit. It's an imitation of something valuable, and honestly, its purpose is to deceive, being stuck in the rut. I remember when I was younger, I mean like much younger, like 12, 13, 14 years old, we used to have this mall called the Central Plaza in Birmingham, Alabama. And I remember walking up in that place. But I remember I'd always go with my friends on the weekends. This was like pre-saved, Pastor Reeves. And I remember walking up there on the weekend. We went there all the time because like going to the mall was like, that's what you did. Like you would just walk you didn't have no money to buy anything. Are you kidding me? Like you just walked the mall. You'd walk by the food stand. Come on, how many of you did this? You'd walk by all the food places that give out free samples. So you had like dinner. You just go through there like a couple of times and like you ate enough to be okay with it. But I remember going to the mall one day with my friends, and there was this guy out front, and he's like, "Hey man, I got some gold chains for sale." I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, back in the day when, we wore them herringbones. That's what you did. And I remember he's like, $20. It's 24 karat gold. I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "Let me see the little stamp on it." Because you can look on the clasp. You look on that little clasp, and it'll say 24, and it said 24 on it, just without the K. So I was like, okay. Like, I remember the first shower that I took with it, like a week later, like my neck was turning green. Like my whole neck was turning green. And I didn't realize what I had bought was counterfeit, right? And so many times that's what the enemy does to you, is that he tries to get you to buy into something when it's counterfeit. It's really the rut. It's really the hamster wheel. It's not progression. And it might look like the real thing, and it might feel like the real thing, but you're buying into something that's not even changing your life. You're buying into a lie and a deception. And the devil would love to convince you that your hamster wheel is as good as God's promise in your life. And he would love for you to be satisfied with this cheap imitation of who God is. Cheap imitation of God's will. And listen, if the devil can't get you to quit in the dip, here's what he's going to do. He's going to try to get you distracted. And that's what's powerful. He wants you to be distracted, because this is what I've learned in my own personal walk, is that a distracted leader is just as bad as a quitting leader, because both stop moving forward. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're distracted, hey, like that's a red flag in your life. Like at that point, pull out the white flag and like, hey, I need help. Like somebody needs to help me. Like I need to find somebody to help me out through this. And I get it. Once you get older, it gets harder to ask for help. It gets hard because you feel like you have everything put together. You've put a lot of time in something, and you don't ask for help. I get it, right? I so get it. Now look what Deuteronomy says in chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. And this is all of Moses's walking around for 40 years, kind of condenses in Deuteronomy in this one little scripture. I love this little scripture right here, because it says, "Then the Lord said to me, you have made your way around this hill country long enough. Now I want you to turn north." You've been doing this, you've been on your hamster wheel long enough. I need you to get out and find true north. I need you to get out, and I need you to think about it. So where is your north? What's your north, right? Maybe you've been going through the motions throughout your whole life. Maybe in this season, COVID, man, I mean, it stretched us a lot. I mean, the political agenda stretched us a lot. And to be honest with you, the foulness that's on social media right now, it is breeding anxiety in us. And maybe you feel, for you, like you're just going through these motions, and you feel like I know that I'm in a rut. I know that I'm not a routine. I know that I'm in a rut and I can't get out of it. Or maybe you feel like maybe you're just maintaining. What area in your life are you just maintaining? Is it your job? Is it your finances? Is it, what are you maintaining it? That's tough. Like I don't want to just live life maintaining. And I pray that you don't want to live your life just maintaining. Right? There's too many people that have dreams and aspirations, and they just maintain so much that they'll never experience them in their life, because it seems like it's too much, or too much to handle, or I don't know how to handle it, and so they don't do it, and they just maintain. Where in your life have you been walking in circles? Come on. Where for you has it been the same? That you feel like, golly, I need to get out of this. I need to work through it. And so I know just like you're probably thinking and how I think every single day is, how do I get out? If I'm walking through something, what's the best way? Guys, I'm being honest with you. There's many times in my own life where I'm like, God, you're going to have to help me get out of this. And a lot of times he sends people in my direction, or I have to get out of my rut by asking people to help me get out of the rut, like lifting my hand out of the rut to say, I need you to pull me out of this thing. And I'm embarrassed. I don't tell everybody in the world. I tell people that's going to help me, and I pull out of the rut, right? So how? Maybe for you, it's time to tell God, like, not my will, W-H-E-E-L. This is cheesy. Not my will, but your will, W-I-L-L, be done. Not my running around. Not my busy work, God. Not the thing that I feel like is so important to me that you're out of it. Not my will, but your will in my life be done. That's the first step. That's the first, and that doesn't happen just once. There's many times throughout my own life as a pastor that I have to tell my family, tell my life, tell my soul, tell my body, like, not my will, Lord, but your will be done in my life. Maybe for you, you have to say out loud, I'm tired. I'm tired of coasting. I'm tired of maintaining. I'm tired of doing the same exact thing. And honestly, I choose to surrender the very thing that I love to you, the very thing that I hate to you, the very thing that I feel like is the right thing to you, the wrong thing to you. I'm gonna surrender my rut to you, because if you're not careful, the enemy, what he is going to do is distract you and make you feel like your rut and your frustration and your problem is okay to have. And then you're stuck and you're spinning your wheels. Maybe you need to text somebody. This is huge. Bring some accountability into your life. Not everybody needs to know about your issue. First off, God knows everything about you. So don't even try to hide it from him. Have that conversation with him. But let me tell you this, like, sometimes you need to bring somebody that cares about who you are. Not your feelings. Obviously the people that care about you care about your feelings, but they're not there to, fluff your feelings up. You need somebody in your life that can say, you know what, Reeves, if you don't stop doing this, your family's going to wreak havoc, because you're depositing something. Every time you do something, you're depositing for good or you're depositing for bad. And Lord, I want to deposit in your will as much as I can. I don't want to deposit in ruts. I don't want to deposit in frustrations where I feel like I spin my wheels. I don't want to deposit in those areas. But I get it. Sometimes it's hard trying to figure it out. And that's why it's important to lean into God, to read books like, listen, don't quit in the dip. Don't give up. Don't back away. Please continue to move forward. Like, these are important to us. This isn't the voice of God. I'll be clear, this isn't the voice of God, but these are the moments where God will speak through these books to help you see what needs to change in your life. I think it's tough to think through the process of life sometimes. We think about who we're going to marry, how we're going to have a house, how we're going to pay off our student debt loans, what does 10 years from now look like? How do I pay? If you're not careful, you'll get in this rut of thinking, I just can't do it. I just don't know how to do it. And that's for anything in life. And my prayer for you this morning is that God, help people see that the hamster wheel can be destroyed. I pray that over your life. Because I know some of you are running and you're tired. And honestly, you're frustrated and you want to give up and you want to give in and you don't want to do it anymore. And can I just say there's help on the way? The Calvary is here. There's people that care. And if you don't have anybody that cares, or you feel like there's nobody that can reach out to you, Hope Valley Church, listen, our team will reach out. there's something that we can do or pray for you, we can reach out. This is a perfect opportunity to message us and find us on social media. I mean, any way that you can reach out of the rut, reach out. It doesn't matter. We'll respond. And God will respond every single time. Hey, I'm going to pray for you. And I'm thankful that God has you. God, I thank you so much for the people that are watching. God, every person that feels like they're in a rut or they're in a place of deficiency, God, that you meet them at their need. God, that you will reveal to them that the enemy is trying to just push them back, God. But you're there. And God, I thank you so much for that. I thank you for the cross. God, bless these people in Jesus' name. Hey, we honor you and we're thankful for you. Anything that we could ever do, please reach out. Love you.
Thanks again for joining with us today. If there is anything that you need, prayer, more info about Hope Valley, how you can join the team, please let us know. You can text Team Hope to 94,000. Our team will get back with you as soon as possible. If you came prepared to give today, we made it super simple. You can go to our website, you can mail in your giving, or you can text any amount to 84321. I can't believe that we're halfway through March, which means Easter is right around the corner. I need you to go ahead and mark your calendars, set a reminder, and make plans for you, your family, and your friends to come hang out with us right here at Hope Valley. We have a special service prepared just for you. Pastor Reeves will be preparing an incredible message at a unique location, so make sure to tune in. Plus, at the end of service, we have a huge announcement. I'm telling you, it's huge. So you need to make plans to be here, right here at Hope Valley on Easter Sunday. All right, thanks again for hanging with us today. I hope you have an incredible week.